This is an open letter for Justice Roberts. Bravo, sir. Bravo. Salute. I mean, bravo that, as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, that's a long way away. So, bravo. You climbed the ladder. But here's the thing, sir. Some upsetting evidence have shown up on the internets that that a few dancers slash pantsers have found their way, women who have, worked in adult industry as strippers and escorts and this and that. Some of these have actually found their way, of different races. They have found their way into your legislature. Sort of like, obviously her job was a dancer and an escort and in a strip club, and that somebody really liked her, and she became somebody's special sugar baby. These relations develop, as far as my understanding is, I could be wrong, but these relations develop when very wealthy person becomes of older age, becomes very interested in a very young, voluptuous young person. That the younger person with no aspect of income becomes a sugar baby and sells her or his body, and then the older gentleman becomes the what is called sugar daddies. This is common knowledge, Mr. Roberts. But to see literal sugar babies, that this woman has become somebody's sugar baby with a lot of money, and that somebody is, doesn't mind, like Mrs. Christine Cinema said in an interview. She said the Senate seat of Arizona, one of the Senate seats in Arizona, will cost $150 million. I.e., you have $150 million to spend on a seat. Just gamble to see whether you win or lose. It's the ticket is $150 million. Literally, they're putting $150 million chips on the roulette table on the black or red. See if they can double their money or try next time. Sir, when you have this, I'm an alien on this planet, so I was told there's a Citizen United case that you guys at the Supreme Court ruled in one way, which has cleared the way for this sugar daddy, sugar baby relationships develop, no longer metaphorically. Actually, it's happening. Women who have become somebody's sugar baby, some older daddy's sugar baby, have found their way in your legislature. Sir, when you say this apparently, but from what I read, this idea of Citizen United is, everybody has the right to spend as much money as they want on their favorite, sugar baby? This is what it means. I'm not sure if you guys in the Supreme Court are, so uppity that you don't see the simple conclusion that a 5-year-old can reach. That if you say anybody can spend as much money as they want, then ultimately even the millionaires don't get to play, only the billionaires get to play. Because, it's an auction. Do you have $150 million to spend on a Senate seat in Arizona? No? Then thank you for participating. Please sit in the back. Who has $150 million to spare and not miss it then it becomes a race between those who have $150 million to spare. And as the price goes up, very fewer people can participate in this so-called election candidate, put your name in everybody's face so you become known, better chance of you electing because people recognize your name. Mr. Justice Roberts, sir, this is insanity. The idea that all you have to do is find a sugar daddy, or if you're a sugar daddy, all you have to do is find a sugar baby and clean her up, and give her a respectable name, because the old name was not so respectable. Giving her a new respectable name, and God willing, you get your own sugar baby in a Senate seat. I'm sorry, I understand Mrs. Christine Cinema is bisexual, by her own admission. So basically this says that opens up the field of how many people sugar baby she can become. It's because, if you're not bisexual, you only can become men's sugar baby. If you open the door to bisexuality, then you have the whole population that you can become their sugar baby. That you can find somebody that is willing to become your sugar daddy. If you're bisexual, you have the whole population. You have double the opportunities of becoming somebody's sugar baby. Folks, that's Mr. Justice Roberts. It just doesn't make sense. And it's worse in your case because you're running an empire. You don't have a country. Whatever decisions are made within your legislative branch and executive branch, whatever decisions are made affects a whole lot of other people on this planet. I know you just keep saying, no, only our citizens. Our responsibility is only our citizens. Fuck the rest of you motherfuckers on this planet. This is what it means. My citizen counts as one, your citizens counts as 1/10 in terms of rights. That's basically, you're declaring that, you are the true owners of the planet. The rest are expandable. These are important, the rest are expandable. Their lives are expandable because it's worth less. Sir, in reality, the Citizen United causes that for very peculiar individuals to get hold of levels of power, because very peculiar individuals with very peculiar mindset get to have $150 million to spare every 4 or 5 years. Very peculiar people have come to that kind of money, and it's if they have some insecurities, some interests that they want to double or triple or quadruple, they may, be actually, it would be worth for them to spend money, gamble on the red or the black, in order to, there's an opportunity they can double their money. And because their peculiar personalities is important for them. So to, be number one. Try to be number one. Okay, but these people are the ones who get to power, at least become the power behind the face. The people who are very peculiar have $150 million to spare. You become very peculiar if you have $150 million to spare. I mean, somebody who has $150 million to spare, gamble, is not good. It doesn't have a normal life. Do you want these people with abnormal lives be the ones who determine who the candidates are going to be? Because only, these guys with a lot of money are willing to pay such high prices and compete with each other to pay those high prices. And then, the wealthiest get a lot of sugar babies. Apparently all the legislature in the United States are APAC sugar babies. Sugar babies of APAC. APAC keeps a tight leash on them, and money is no problem. We give you money, but we need your vote. With this Citizen United, apparently what they tell me is that you have basically said, the billionaires can determine who all the popular seats, all the seats that are filled with popular vote. The rich people can determine who takes those seats, because there is a process, and the process is very expensive, and you got to find yourself a sugar daddy or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 to compete in this process, because Supreme Court has decided that no, a 2-bit loser cannot participate in this election as a candidate, because it's not a viable thing to do. Because every time every election we hear that guy with the boot on his head in Vermont or Maine or somewhere around there, is with a boot on his head. He participates in the presidential election, and he can only afford to participate in that election in his own state. He does it, and he puts a boot on his head, but he can't participate in the 50th state. I have a feeling he would get the votes. He has the common touch. So my point is this, sir. I'm sorry, I'm taking a bit more of your time. This doesn't work like this. The system will stop functioning like this, because this sugar daddy and sugar baby used to be metaphorical, at least. Nancy Pelosi is somebody's sugar baby. So is, John McCain was somebody's sugar baby. Lindsey Graham is somebody's sugar baby. And, these old senators from New York, representatives from New York, they're somebody's sugar baby. They've been somebody's sugar baby for 150 years now. They have grown old together. The sugar daddy and the sugar baby have grown old together. Are you serious? Because once you open the gate and you say anybody can spend as much as they want, many will no longer spend, because they're just multi-millionaires, and they don't have enough to spend on any donate, as compared to a few who have, they have hiked the price. It's now $150 million for a Senate seat, and very few can participate. They can watch, but they can't participate, because it's a high-stake poker. You literally have turned your election system, the wise people of Supreme Court, you have literally turned your election systems into a high-stake poker game, that the very wealthy, only the very wealthy, high stakes, only the very wealthy can participate, and the bidding starts at $100,000. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, what you were trying to achieve with this, Justice Roberts, you and the rest of the people at Supreme Court, what were you trying to achieve? Did you guys deliberate and didn't talk to each other to say that, hey, if we open this gate, only the billionaires can participate because it's no longer even a regular poker, it's a high stakes poker. Very few people, have the money to participate because it becomes eBay, an auction kind of way. Go see who has the most bearable $150 million. It's going to be like, yeah, you can find 20 people, 20 families, or 200 families in Arizona who can spend that much money and not miss it on a gamble. 2,000 people, 2,000 families, 20,000. It's not the population of Arizona. It's like 0.0001% of the population of Arizona get to even have a chance to participate. Now you have to find out of these families which ones don't really give a fuck. That would be half of them. Then from these families, which one miss their money more than others, get rid of that. So you really come down to a quarter of the people who have that kind of money to not miss. A quarter of those people get to participate in picking who should be the candidate, who's going to be our sugar baby. A very small group of people eventually, a very small group of dedicated people who also happen to have a lot of money, but you have to have the money and the dedication to participate in this kind of election. Do you think people who are dedicated and have that kind of money, these people haven't you found them a little weird? These people who have that kind of money and are willing to gamble it on an election, those are not normal personalities. As we see the personalities with regards to Israel, Justice Roberts, are not normal. These are all messianic. Yes, we have a big penis. We are the chosen one. It's perfect for us. That land that is not really good for our skin because we are very fair and that land is very harsh. So even if it doesn't suit us, we still want it. And these people are very dedicated and they're very rich. As we know, the Ashkenazi are very rich. They pass wealth down generation after generation. Good for them. But to give the keys of the whole castle to them, say we are willing to give up the keys to the kingdom to the highest bidder, and a lot of these bidders are Ashkenazi. And a lot, and Christian, doesn't matter, European, Ashkenazi, Anglo-Saxon, but they all have one thing in common. First of all, the thing they have in common is the peculiar mentality that they have had. They have had to have that peculiar mentality to become ultra wealthy. And then on top of that, they have other quirks in their personality that means they are even quirkier than people, crazier than people who who make the money and don't have that specific quirk in their personality to think of themselves as a Zionist. Very holy and holier than thou, and we're chosen this and chosen that and chosen my ass. Sir, you have opened the gates of hell, Mr. Justice Roberts. You have opened the gates of hell from your office. Gates of hell has been opened because you have allowed that very peculiar personalities take over all of your election process. Take over who gets to go to the White House, who becomes the chief executive and all the legislature. by opening the door to whatever, whatever kind of money you have, you want to spend, you want to gamble, you have the right to do that. By doing that, and then your people are not very educated, so they're sell you to, you can't spend so much money on defense and also have a good healthcare and welfare and educational system. Apparently it doesn't work. You either have money for war or you have money for everything else that is conducive to the continuous existence of the tribe. My point is this, sir. You have opened the gates of hell because these people who end up in office become even more peculiar and peculiar and peculiar, because the people who have the money to finance them, they are very peculiar. The sugar daddies are very peculiar. Remember, again, the sugar daddies are the people who have had the kind of personality to make enough money to be able to not miss $150 million. They have that, and then they have the peculiar personality to have an ideological aspect to them. In that sense, these are determined individuals, like as the Zionists are. I mean, Zionism is not new. The last time you Europeans conquered North America and eliminated all the Redskins, North America was the Zion. It's like white people keep going in circle around Earth and destroying what they see, because they always see other people's land. They always see Zion in other people's lands. Salute. The Ashkenazi couldn't find Zion in Chicago. They have to go find Zion up Arab's ass. And now up the Iranians' ass. Sir, this is insanity. I would say that literally with this Citizens United you are responsible for the massacres in Middle East, West Asia. Responsibility falls on you, sir. Ultimately, you and the rest of the Supreme Court, you decided to go in this way of very peculiar people with a lot of peculiarly begotten money, who are very determined about maybe some crazy idea. You get so many killed in Iraq, in Syria, and Libya, and Lebanon, and this and that and the other, and now the Iranians. Sir, you have given this the wheels. You have given the wheel to a bunch of determined rich people, some may call crazy rich people, who are willing to put $150 million on black or red, blue or red, black, blue, black and blue. This is not sane. Let's give the wheel to the crazies, so the crazies can put their favorite sugar baby behind the wheel. And believe me, every time you get a crazy sugar daddy and a crazier sugar baby, every time, because again, as the number of people who can push this price even higher. I mean, what if, next election, Mr. Bezos comes up and says, I'm willing to spend $1 billion on this election. Who's got that money? It's like a couple of handful of people have that kind of money that they can compete with Mr. Fink of BlackRock. Fink, Mink, Dink. diamond of this and think of that and think of that. My point is this: these people are a handful of people, families, who you're saying that, okay, folks, you can, if you have the money, participate, put your money on the table. We're going to have an election. Who's black or red? Put 150 million on the table. 200, 300. Do I hear 500? You have turned into your election into an auction house. A bunch of very crazy, determined people with a lot of money, which creates a very quirky personality, become in charge of your election. Well, they become the power behind the figurehead, i.e. the Ashkenazi behind Mr. Trump. So this is it. This is the problem. The sugar daddies and the sugar babies, they're all, they have a lot of money, and apparently that's all that is requested in the game. And as you can see, the old representatives in the House and the Senate, they're so old, they can't really do any kind of fast thinking. They're still there because they're still somebody's sugar baby. Somebody's willing to pay for this motherfucker to stay there after 40 years, after 50 years, after 60 years. And meanwhile, the people at home are uneducated, unhoused, and unhealthy. A large majority of them. I'm talking about, Tennessee and Kentucky and Appalachia and Virginia. I'm talking about people who, the senator hasn't changed for 40 years, but, people, there's still large pockets of poverty all over the state, and nothing has happened. South Carolina and North Carolina. Are you serious? The point is this, that all this insanity, all this craziness started from your office. That, yeah, we don't mind, having a eBay style election system in which the highest bidders get a chance to play and the rest watch. And you wonder why you have a system in which people want something else and the overlords are delivering something else. Because the overlords are not delivering for Joe's six-pack. The overlords are delivering for their sugar daddies. Those who paid for those seats that they are temporarily occupying. Legally occupying. Absolutely. And the problem is, you're not just one country. You're not a normal country. You're an empire. You're not a normal country. You're an empire. What you do affects the lives of people on the other side of the planet too. And when you put up your elections to the highest bidder, I have some bad news for brown people and black people and yellow people and red people and green people. I have some bad news for everybody, because the last election was won by what was his name? Manson? Jeffrey Manson? He was very popular. Mason, whatever his name was. He was very popular amongst his followers. And imagine if this guy, his followers, were all billionaires. Theoretically, the Manson fellow could have become a senator. It's just that his bad luck, his posse, were not all billionaires. Well, one was, I believe she was a printing heiress or media heiress. My point, as he got as far as he got, probably because a lot of money coming from the heiress side, that he was able to, afford something. But my point is this, sir: having an empire and then turning your elections into all sugar daddies and all sugar babies are welcomed, it kind of sort of puts the world on the edge, because people who participate in sugar daddy sugar baby arrangements, neither side is really okay or right all there. Neither side is there. Neither sugar daddies nor sugar babies are what we call normal people. It's just not a normal arrangement. It's really, it's a prostitution kind of arrangement. It's not, it's not kosher. But apparently, in the political sense, AIPAC would say it is kosher. Sir, this gates of hell can only this gates of hell can only be closed from your office. Hint at whoever you have to hint at in lower courts to pass up a lawsuit, pass it to Supreme Court, which, by way of which you can maybe overturn your previous ruling in Citizen United, and determine that everybody can donate to a fund, and then the fund, everybody can donate to a fund anonymously. If you have to continue with charade of running your election based on how much money is spent, this is madness. There's a government that can have an election budget. When it comes time for election, hey, we have this much money in our election budget. We, the government, have this much money in election budget, and we divide it by 2 and give you have this much money. Have a nice day. This is how you get sanity back. Whoever wants to donate to your election budget, go right ahead. But they cannot donate to a specific side. They cannot, have a sugar baby in the fight. They can donate to the government fund for elections. And then the government literally divides it by 2 in every election with the last 2 candidates and gives them exactly the same amount. If you have to continue with this, democratic madness, at least you can pull the money out of it. And so overtly, it's still going to be difficult to push the money out, but then it becomes a job of the security system to make sure, bribery behind closed doors doesn't take place. But and in fact, it seems I'm not sure about what year the supposedly Citizen United, which has allowed the very big money to be able to participate in the election. I don't know which year it was, but as we can see, your elections have become more and more peculiar, with peculiar individuals. More and more, your election has been about nothing in the center, but very peculiar individuals who have very crazy ideas. specifically with regards to the Ashkenazi in West Asia. This, Zion, you keep seeing your Zion up my ass. No, your Zion is not up the Arab's ass. Go find your Zion in Chicago, Toledo, San Francisco. Why the fuck you're looking for your Zion in Arab land? You're not Arabs. The point is, sir, this is what I'm saying, that people with a lot of money, that makes a peculiar personality, but then also they have to have intense passion for one side or another, whether with regards to Korea's, whether with regards to Japan, whether with regards to China. You see these people who are in politics and they're passionately against this country or that country, and you're thinking to yourself, why would you have such a adverse action? I don't know if the adverse is the correct word, but such a harsh reaction every time you hear the name China. That's, for example, that's the question for Senator Tom Cotton. He gets a chill every time he hears China. Apparently, you can tell that it's not him. It's the sugar daddy, whoever, metaphorical sugar daddy, hopefully. A metaphorical sugar daddy. But as I said, that gentleman Santos, that Brazilian homosexual who got into the house, that's a that should be a red flag for the whole Supreme Court. Was it, Jimmy Santos or whatever his name was? It was a Brazilian transsexual, bisexual, gay, who was somebody's sugar baby, so he was financed to become a representative of some district. That should be red flag. If there is a siren in a Supreme Court, that siren should go off, as if like you see, fire. The decisions that you make with regards to anybody who's willing to spend more money gets to choose their favorite candidate. That disastrous idea has led to, literal sugar baby, not metaphorical, no longer metaphorical, but literal sugar babies get into seats of power. And you think this is going to end well? If you go with in the same direction, more and more equivalents to Mr. Brazilian Santos are going to find their way into your legislature and maybe even the executive branch. Who knows? Who cares? Well, you should care. You want to run, Mr. Roberts, with all due respect, sir. I could be wrong. I could be wrong 100%. So I'm just not saying that I'm right, God forbid. But the reality is, sir, if you continue this direction, the more and more they're going to the representatives in legislature and the senator, more and more they're going to be sugar babies. And if you have any doubts, please look up the last election, the last time Mr. Trump won the election. Apparently some very peculiar individual with very peculiar ideas were the main backer of Mr. Trump. I don't know, it was you can research this. Last election, 2016, I believe, 2016, is the election that a very peculiar family with very peculiar ideas were backed Mr. Trump for the election, and he won. That family You can research it, but it's clear. Having the money and being determined based on some ideological ideas, doesn't matter left or right. So you have some ideology and you can spend money to get your ideology implemented. Well, that's a crazy idea, because running a society must be based on trial and error and not ideology. But you're given the wheel and the wheelhouse. The whole boat of your election is going down the stream of highest bidder, who's willing to pay more money to have this three ring circus that we have. Well, good luck. You're going to have very peculiar sugar daddies financing even more peculiar sugar babies. I'm sorry, the Rome doesn't have to fall, but only if the Sane Society is in charge. And as I said, neither sugar daddies nor sugar babies are what I would consider sane. Neither. Let's put it this way: neither buying a body nor selling a body. It just doesn't make sense. It's odd. Odd people are okay with it. Normal people, they don't like to sell a body or buy a body. But you have directed your election towards in a way that you have to buy your sugar baby if you want to have a say in the direction of this ship. Very huge ship. And if you want to get your way in choosing the direction of this empire, you have to be very determined and spend a lot of money. Have a lot of money to spend, and then be determined, very determined. That's basically the definition of AIPAC, and anybody who donates to AIPAC. That's the definition of Mariam Adelson. That's the very definition of Mariam Adelson. With wealth and very determined based on some crazy messianic ideas. You have given your election to such people. They have to give an Oscar to Elon Musk for presenting you with the images of a crazy boy. He acted crazy, but a crazy boy high on drugs who has money to burn, so he was able to participate in your election at very close quarters. I mean, he couldn't make it any more simpler for you. That Marian Adelson is that crazy. She just doesn't come in front of the camera and jump up and down in a very awkward manner. But Marian Adelson is just as crazy and just as on as many drugs as as Elon was. Prescription probably, but just as many drugs. So my point is this, that you have opened the door for the crazies to really participate in choosing the leaders. What kind of leaders you think you're going to get? If you have integrity, you must, encourage somebody down there to bring a suit so you can go back on this and declare government-funded election based on the election budget that is, people can also donate to, but election budget, there is an election budget, and it gets divided equally from the representatives to senators to presidents, and each they make a specific number, whatever the half would be. It's just, it's a you want a clean system, sir, don't you, Justice Roberts? You want a clean, like your job as a Supreme Court justice is to try to make the system clean. You think by allowing unlimited money into the system, you think that system stays clean? It can be considered clean. Forget what stays clean. If you allow as much money as people, determined, crazy people who are willing to spend, you think you're going to get a good outcome? If the answer is no, you have to really sit down and talk about it and say, yeah, we like to reconsider. Send another case up and we reconsider and we go back on our word. This is crazy, sir. You have so much blood on your hand because peculiar people have been able to purchase your peculiar leaders. Salute.